Hold on. You know I had to get my rose gold. I love rose gold. And it's one of the, it's not like a high end, like super expensive microphone, but it's one of the best at the reasonable price.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I got that and my webcam.
It's aesthetically pleasing. That's
You're
all that
like
matters.
And I have a
totally tech
light.
upgrade.
Ooh,
Although
Like
I
a
don't
ring
need
light?
it in here. Huh?
like a ring light thing.
No, it attaches right here under the monitor.
Yeah.
It's a light, so it shines it
Yeah.
at your face and
So
kind
it's
of
the
helps it
one
brighten.
ring.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, except it's just a square.
Mhm. Pretty cool. And you're all dressed up because you're gonna be on the camera.
I'm usually dressed fairly nice for class.
Cute today.
Oh. Okay. Who's heard of energy meridians? Okay, what have you heard?
They're kind of like the fiber optics of the body, conducting energy through us. It's connected to Chinese medicine, is acupuncture and stuff is all about the meridians, and they each have a different purpose. They're connected to different organs and systems and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Have you heard of meridians at all?
Just the one in the ocean. Whatever. The meridian. Is it this way or this way? The opposite of the equator. The prime meridian.
Oh, the prime meridian.
Supposed to come off better.
The time change thing.
All right. You guys have heard of longitude and latitude lines,
Yes.
the invisible lines around the earth.
Mhm.
Okay. So similar to those, energy meridians are invisible lines inside the body that are it's like an energy transportation system.
Fiber optic.
So think of it more like as the freeways. Okay. In traditional Chinese medicine, they believe that for every negative thought, it creates a blockage on one of your energy systems, on one of your meridians. Could be anywhere, but the more blockages you have, the more the traffic builds up, right? The more car accidents that are on the road.
Think so.
Okay. So once the traffic builds up so much, the energy has to be diverted. So that means that meridian is no longer being fed energy or transporting energy to the organs and the bodily functions that it's related to, right? So the meridians not only feed the vital energies related to the organs, they also reflect any pathological disturbance along those organs. And it's not just the organs, it's also everything that's involved with your physiological system. So your immune system, your nervous system, your endocrine system, respiratory, digestive, skeletal, muscular, lymphatic, all the things, circulatory, right? So if you have these blockages within that transportation system, you can have heart issues, digestive issues. Your immune system can have a slower response to different viruses or diseases, right? So we all have viruses and bacteria that live within us, but if our immune system is slow in responding to things, then it's going to be exasperated, right? Or we're going to have a physical reaction to it instead of our defense mechanism, our immune system kicking in and stopping it, right? Does that all make sense? Okay. There are 14. 2 are named after the primary organ and system that they're related to, and 2 are they're the governing and the central meridians that are open to the environment that surrounds you and the energies that surround you. And that's where energies can enter and exit from the outside environment into you, right? So you definitely want to keep those in balance and protect them so that you don't take in the wrong energies.
Are they in the same spot for everybody?
Generally speaking, they are in the same spot.
Mm.
So while acupuncture and acupressure use needles and they try and do like fine point, I was always taught that you use 3 fingers, because then you at least cover a 1-inch diameter, and within that 1-inch diameter, you're gonna hit the spot in
Oh, so like
relationship
in
to
the
that
same
particular,
General area.
within the same general area.
Okay.
In fact, they're doing studies now in cadaver labs, and they're finding indentations in the muscular system that are related to like a weakened meridian based off the reason why the person passed away. So they're starting to actually see the meridians in the cadaver labs,
Wow.
which is pretty interesting.
They're complicated.
That was very cool.
It is. So the meridians kind of like connect the dots. So there's like these hundreds of tiny little reservoirs of heat, electromagnetic, and more subtle energies that are along the surface of the skin, which is what the acupuncture and acupressure points are, right? So those kind of come up to the surface that are more palpable and that you can feel. In acupressure, we're taught to use bone-to-bone pressure for a significant amount of time, so at least 30 seconds or longer. And you can actually feel, when you're trained, you can actually feel the energy blockage, and you can feel when it gets released. Or you can feel a pulsating.
There's actually pressure used in acupressure, or is it just?
Oh, yeah. So acupuncture is with a needle.
Right,
Acupressure is with your finger.
but putting pressure on that point.
Oh, yeah. You have to
Okay.
put bone-to-bone pressure
Okay,
on it for a significant amount of time.
the first energy work I learned way back in the late 80s, I think, is called Jin Shin Jitsu, and it uses the meridians, but you're not using pressure and you're not using a needle, you're just putting your hand there, and kind of like
Okay.
with Reiki, you're actually feeling
There are,
the energy. So I love it that there's all these different levels that
Yes,
that you
and
can
we'll
use that all tap into the same thing.
and we'll talk a little bit more into that, of how to balance your own energies using your hands. And you don't have to do actual acupressure if you don't like the pressure points, because not everybody likes those. There are ways to use your hands and use nutrition and other ways in order to balance your meridians. They're also known as the body's energy bloodstream, right? So as veins are that carry your blood, are the meridians for your energy that carries the energy. Each system is fed by at least one meridian. The meridians bring vitality and balance. They remove blockages. They adjust your metabolism and even determine the speed and form of cellular change. So they can dictate cellular change. Their flow is as critical as the flow of blood. If the energy is obstructed and regulated, the system it feeds is jeopardized. Your meridians are also affected by the Earth's daily rhythms, the time zones, the seasonal zones, seasonal changes, spring, winter, fall, spring, winter, summer. I did not say those in order. Right, so if you go to travel and you change
You
time
did it
zones,
exactly backwards, really.
I did spring, winter, fall,
Or
summer.
if you go spring, winter, fall, summer instead of. You gotta
I'm
know
just
when
gonna
to
hop
spell
back and forth, right? So if you go to travel and you change time zones, your energy systems are gonna be off. So I was given the recommendation and I did it, I've done it the last 2 times that I've traveled, and it's really helped me to take a magnet. Travel with a magnet. Somewhere near my body,
Interesting.
because it helps
And look at
polarize,
them like that.
just a magnet. Because it helps polarize the energy systems while you're crossing time zones. For me, it worked. I don't know if it's gonna work for everybody, but I had no jet lag when I went to Israel or Scotland.
And those are long trips.
Yeah.
That's not like just going to Kansas City.
Right,
There's
it's not
a
like going
1 hour.
from Phoenix to San Diego where it's a 1 hour time frame.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting.
Each meridian has its own 24-hour cycle. And it had, just like the oceans, it has a high tide when the energy is the strongest. Its pulses are the sharpest. And the absorption of energy is the most active. It also has a low tide, and that is when it is at rest.
So is that why I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be wide awake for 2 hours and then go back to sleep?
Yes, so what we want
So
to
whatever
do
time frame that is when it's active.
is there's
Is
no,
whatever's active at that time frame.
no, whatever that time frame is what is the meridian that's out of balance.
Right. Usually it's because I was stupid and ate something I shouldn't have had.
Well, there's
It's
that
not being
possibility
stupid.
of it too. Right? So here's the wheel.
Oh, awesome.
I didn't make a copy of it because I didn't have time. And I was gonna, if anybody was on there, I could put it up, but. So on top of that, each meridian here is, right, so they're thinking. So there's 6 meridians that are yin and 6 meridians that are yang. The yang is active, outward, and expansive in principle. The yin is receptive, inward, and contracting in principle. So any questions on the wheel?
And that
I don't
correlates a
remember.
bit with feminine and masculine as well, right? Yin being.
Right,
feminine.
well, yeah, yin being feminine,
Yang.
masculine being yang.
Yeah.
What is triple murmur?
That's your military defense system.
So I'm ready to fight from 9 to 11.
Not necessarily.
I'm ready to fight myself.
Okay, so if you, here, I'll look at it from my phone.
I can pass it back to.
No, it's okay, because I want you guys to look at it,
I'll sit.
right?
I've got the
So,
book at home, so I'll look at it tonight.
yeah, but in reference to the conversation.
Oh,
it would be
right.
helpful,
Oh, yay.
right? So
Beside me.
if you look,
I won't even bite.
if you look at the top, the heart is from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
A long time.
That's
Oh, wait.
2 hours.
Damn. Sorry.
That's interesting that it alternates yin and yang in twos.
Right, well, it's supposed to,
Every
right?
hour.
So at the other side of it,
Well, these are 2 hour stretches though.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
So-
yin is primary in a 4 hour stretch then.
yes,
Which I just think is interesting.
Yeah.
Instead of alternating every one.
right.
Okay.
Okay, so if you look at the opposite side, the 11 p.m. to 1 a.m., you have your gallbladder.
Mhm.
Okay, so while the heart is at rest, the gallbladder is active. While the gallbladder is at rest, the heart is active. So the gallbladder and the heart are opposites of each other, and so on and so forth. So the small intestine to the liver, the bladder to the lung, the kidney to the large intestine, the circulation to the stomach, and the triple wormer to the spleen.
So is that why people totally probably irrelevant, But is that why people feel like they're having a heart attack when their gallbladder is flaring up or whatever?
It can, for sure.
My
And then-
neighbor thought she was gonna die one day because she had
It's-
gallbladder.
It's also why you feel the most tired between 3 and 5, because you just had lunch and your small intestine is the one that's responsible for digestion. So once it's active and it's digesting and all the things, then it starts going into rest mode, and that's when you start getting tired, which is opposite the lung, which is when your lung is at rest. And your breathing slows and helps you to be tired so that you'll take a rest. And most cultures do a siesta between 3 and 5 or take a nap.
On large intestine, is that why we poop in the morning when we first get up?
Probably.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Super.
That's one
Generally
that.
speaking, I'm not like asking for a friend here.
No, I know. That's when my bowel movement is. I only have one
Yeah.
bowel movement a day, and it's in the morning.
In the morning, yeah, after you get up, move around a little bit.
Like 4 or 5 times a day.
Shady thing to say, right?
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
Sorry,
No, that's okay.
we're in the back of the class and we're cutting up.
That's okay. So each meridian also represents an element, be it fire, earth, water, air, and depending on what theology you're speaking about, it's either ether, wood, or metal is the 5th element. Right, so for example, the heart meridian is of the fire element. It speaks to the soul of our presence, our essence, our love and joy. We have the capacity for growth in mind, body, and spirit, and working in harmony with intuition, logic, and emotion when it is in balance. When it's not in balance, those are not operating properly, right? We don't feel appreciated. We don't feel love for others. We don't feel joy when something good happens, right? We're not in tune with our intuition. We're not in tune with our emotions. Right? The bladder meridian is of a water element and governs the nervous system because the meridian houses all the nerves along the spine. So if you rest during 3 and 5 p.m., energy is available to restore your nervous system.
Wonder if I could get my boss to buy into that. Honestly, our modern 8 to 5 workday is just totally jacks with
Right, so then
our
you have to,
natural rhythms.
right, so then you have to modify, right? You have to learn to modify your rhythms to your whatever your work day, whatever your daily schedule looks like, right? Because there's some people that work a 3rd shift, right?
Yeah. For me, that's when my brain power is at its lowest, so any real focus work I have to do, like if I have to create a new process or, be on for a strategy meeting, it has to happen earlier in the day.
Right, so that would be your central meridian. Your central meridian is the one that's associated with brain, intelligence in all cells, your internal wisdom. It's about the integration of balance of energy within the entire body, right? Your creative, nurturing, and procreative powers, right? So if you're feeling drained in energy and you need to go into a meeting and you need that brain power, then you want to really activate that central
Trace that
meridian.
central meridian.
Trace it, empower it. You definitely don't want to flush it, right? Which we will talk about all of those different things. Any questions? I feel like this is kind of a lot for
What could,
Savannah.
I mean, I'm trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
but
That's why I want you to ask questions.
yeah, could your body, I guess your body doesn't really know time, so could a 3 to 5 p.m. be different?
Your body
For
does
me-
know time. Your body has its own circadian rhythm.
Well, it's on
Which is
its own
time.
time.
right,
So like my 3 to 5 could be different than her 3 to 5?
yes,
Okay,
That makes total sense.
yes, because
Yeah,
your rhythm is your rhythm. But if
right,
you're also out of rhythm, then you may
Yeah.
not sync up, right?
okay,
so you could kind of think of these 2-hour time chunks as
when you wake up,
11 to 1 midday-ish versus
Mhm.
11 AM to 1 PM. You know, evening-ish, you know, late afternoon, early evening time frame. Versus
Right.
being very specific on here, because that's
Well-
gonna depend on the time zone you're in and how often you're going in
No,
and out of
so
all
you're
that, right?
supposed to adjust it. So if you're living in a, if you move time zones and you go to live in a different time zone, your body will adjust to the time zone.
Right, no, what I'm saying is that these are,
It's a
it's
guideline.
a guideline, right, exactly, it's not
It's not a hard
precise
fast
and
rule.
exact, like at 6:58,
Right,
you know?
yeah,
Like my
Right.
mom used to always be like, you know, this can of food is expired, and I'm like, that was 2 days ago, Mom, it's okay. It's that kind of thing, you know?
right, yeah, it's a guideline, it's not a
Yeah.
hard fast rule.
Yeah.
But ideally, you want to be somewhere within that
Yeah,
wheel.
right, exactly.
So central yin governing is yang? Like, how do you know what ones are central and what ones are governing?
No, your central and your governing are two different meridians.
But is one yin and one yang?
No, because they're environmental. They're not
Okay.
either. Just the ones that are indicated are yin and yang, are yin and yang.
Okay.
I thought the heart was central. No?
No,
Okay.
it's circulatory.
Ah, jeez.
You had the C word.
Yeah,
It's circulatory, right? So the heart governs everything around blood flow,
mhm,
around love, compassion, anything related to the heart, right?
okay,
So like the small intestine is responsible for digestion and separates the impurities from the food before passing on the waste.
So it also keeps the good stuff, essentially, like
Right.
it separates.
It separates the nutrients from the waste.
Yeah, teachers how to balance them out.
I'm not going to teach you, but I'm going to go over some of the ways to do that.
Tell me what to do.
So there's what Kathy referenced to as far as tracing. Okay, so since nobody's every meridian has a beginning and ending point. Okay,
Mhm.
so you kind of have to look them up, right? So
Right.
this is the heart. It starts here in the armpit and goes down and ends in the pinky.
Okay. Oh, the right, the opposite side of
Both
the heart?
sides, both sides.
Oh,
But
So
on the
there's
inside.
there's one on the
Right.
left, so there's one on each side.
okay,
The only two that there's only one of is the central and the governing.
okay,
Otherwise, there's one of each on each side.
okay, that makes sense.
Okay,
I didn't.
so if your masculine or your feminine or your right or your left energy is off, it will also affect the meridian.
Got it.
Okay,
I love it
So-
with the central and the governing complete the circle around.
yes,
That's
right.
very cool.
So your central is amazing because in order to trace it, you just like a zipper. Right, so you start at the starting point and you move up to the ending point. That's how you trace it. The other way to do it is to hold your sending energy
Mhm.
at the starting point and you're receiving energy at the ending point. And focus on sending energy up.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions on that? No? Okay. So flushing is just the opposite. Where you go from the ending to the start 3 times. And then trace it 3 times.
So you go
Right.
backwards 3 times and then you go
Forward 3 times.
forward 3 times.
Right.
Okay.
So the idea is to flush it out. And then retrace it and get the energy to flow back in the right direction. Okay, there's also, in that book, they talk about different points. So there's strengthening and weakening points for each related meridian. Okay, so these are alarm points, which they talk about in doing, tapping on those points in order to get them to balance. You can also, no, but you might see this or you might see this.
Mhm.
You can also use like a tuning fork on the alarm points or on acupressure points. And-
Yeah.
Right, so these, the alarm points are used for like when you travel and you're out of sync. Okay, so these are the sedating and the strengthening points for each meridian. Right, so if you do some energy testing and you figure out your spleen is weak, then you want to hit the strengthening points on the spleen, and then the weakening points on the opposite, which is the triple warmer. So you want to do the sedating on the triple warmer and the strengthening on the spleen in order to balance those out. Because usually if the spleen is weak, then that means your triple warmer is overactive.
But you just want to fight everybody.
So we're gonna look up. Just because you keep mentioning it.
Well, the military.
No, it's fine.
Okay,
Perhaps you were a warrior in a previous life.
I'm sure I was. I would never. I was a warrior in another life, and then like a really peacekeeper in another. So
Or
I
maybe
was like, I want to fight people, but I would never hit someone.
Yeah, so it controls your fight, it does control your fight or flight. Right, so. It also controls your freeze response,
You're what?
your freeze response.
Oh. Triple warmer just seems like a weird
It-
word for it, I guess.
It impacts your immune system and your ability to manage stress. So you might want to sedate your triple warmer and strengthen your spleen,
Yeah. Yikes.
right? Or
Mhm.
and or flush. You might want to flush your whole triple warmer meridian and then retrace it. Right? You can
Yeah.
massage the points, the reflex points and the strengthening points. And there's nutrition associated with each one. So if you have acid reflux, which is your gallbladder and small intestine, nuts help tell the gallbladder how much bile to release. So by eating nuts, it'll help regulate the gallbladder, help regulate the bile that it releases and reduce the acid reflux.
That's tree nuts versus
Any nuts.
peanuts.
Any nuts.
So I
So
know there are a lot of.
your husband's nuts, you know?
Every time I talk about No, because I eat a lot of nuts now because it's one of the few salty
Oh,
crunchy
yeah,
things
yeah.
I can have, but I can't have peanuts. So like peanuts are a whole different family than the tree nuts are, but yeah,
Right.
he's always like, well, I only have two, and I'm like.
Right, so well, and speaking
they're
of
not
that,
salty.
when
They're kind of hairy.
It's a workout.
when you eat Brazil nuts, you only eat one.
Those are those really big ones.
They're the really big ones.
Yeah. I don't like
Mhm.
those.
Me neither.
They taste weird to me. I
Okay.
picked them out.
Can't
It
get my
is
mind out of
being
there.
It is being recorded, so, yeah,
They'll
so, huh?
They'll love it. We're gonna do. So, well, that's interesting because, like, I would assume you probably want the nuts to be not like
Right, so
covered
you
in
would-
something like a regular just
Right,
natural.
if you eat Cajun seasoned nuts, it's gonna kind of be moot, right?
Okay.
Especially if there's MSG in the seasoning.
Right,
Yeah.
so, cause the Cajun or the spicy or the wasabi or whatever is gonna activate the acid when
Yeah.
you're trying to sedate the acid.
I've just been eating a lot of nuts lately, but like the butter toffee ones, they like covered in sugar and stuff.
Right, so
Like,
the,
probably should have just regulars every once in a while.
yes, let's reduce the sugar into it.
You're sweet enough as it is.
Oh,
Yes, you are. Any questions? Any other questions? You guys want help understanding? Do you want to practice some of the? Do you want to do any energy testing to see?
I definitely think this is one I'm gonna have to like,
Process?
yeah, let's
Okay.
study over.
It's interesting, some of the kind of loop-de-loops some of these have.
Yes. Especially the one that kind of goes up and around the cranium and the ear
Yeah.
and around the ankle.
Do they look like
Yeah.
anything?
What do you mean?
Like a
They're-
vein, it looks like a vein. These are just like,
They're invisible, just like the longitude and latitude.
oh, okay.
But you can feel them. I can feel them anyway. You can learn to feel them.
It's so obsessed.
So I'm gonna have to look at that because my higher self and my guides are getting me to wake up earlier. So instead of waking up at 7:30, going to bed at 11 and waking up at 7:30,
Mhm.
it's now I'm supposed to be up at 6.
Oh,
I know. So that also means I'm going to bed earlier.
Yikes.
So if we look
Could
at,
have Clementine in your life.
has nothing to do with Clementine,
maybe Clementine is helping.
right?
with
So,
that. Your
she's
guides are
wanting-
like,
so that 9 to 11 hours during my triple warmer. Right,
thank you, that's what I was trying to find here.
when I want my defense and my immune system at rest, or no. That's when it's active. Right, so that it boosts and heals my immune system
While you're sleeping.
while I'm sleeping, while I am at rest. Then because then I'm not fighting everything, right?
And also, except I forget what it's called. You shouldn't eat within 2 hours before you go to sleep. And
Right.
where possible, you should go to sleep when the sun goes down. So that you're not up after the sun goes down.
Well, that also means they're having me wake up during my large intestine time versus my stomach. So my digestion is now changing. And I'm
Right.
now back to eating almost 3 meals a day.
And you're probably like, really?
I'm just like, I'm not used to eating this much. It's changing.
Really have to get up at 6?
The alarm clock goes off at 6, I'm up at 6:30. I'm eating breakfast earlier, like a whole hour earlier. Who knows, maybe that because my digestion is changing, maybe that means I'll finally lose some weight, because I haven't been able to lose weight since I've been out here.
Intermittent fasting helps with that too.
Well, that's why I only ate twice a day.
Yeah. Except now you're not. I had not gotten this far in the book yet, because
Right,
squirrel, I'm in the middle of 3 others right now too.
right.
But this is the stuff that I started learning years ago that absolutely fascinated me, and of course it had to be on the back burner for too many years.
Right, and
But
I'll
it's I mean, there's so many things this all connects into.
reschedule the aura and the chakras that got canceled. And then I'll schedule the other ones. Anything else you want to discuss in regards to meridians?
So. There's just never not something wrong with you, like people in general. And because they can't always be properly working,
No,
every single one
no.
at
Well,
one time.
Well, and that's just the meridians. That's just one of 9 energy systems.
Yeah, that's crazy.
and if you think about all the things we're bombarded with in modern life, you know,
Well, and
electromagnetic frequencies.
Right, you have
the
your
stuff in our
microwave.
Food and
you have your microwave, you have your cell phone, you have all the cell phone towers, you have the TV, all of this stuff interferes with your energy systems.
plus the stuff that's crap that's in the water and crap that's in the food and plus, you know, people interacting with people and all that kind of stuff, so.
Right.
We're
So,
quite
like-
amazing beings that we're able to withstand all this.
Well, and our bodies are amazing because our bodies
Yeah.
will heal themselves. It will heal itself. You just have to guide it to do that.
And not interfere,
Right.
eating more crap that you're not supposed to eat.
Same here. I'm not giving up my wine.
There you go.
I gave
So-
up drinking.
Did you?
Mhm.
Congratulations.
I thought I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to dinner.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Which I mean, you know, you're done
Yeah.
recording.
Okay, so are we done talking about the meridians?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.